Yes, I'm not saying you don't buy a car, but I'm just saying the same way you engaged your mind, you became a doctor in the University of Nairobi, you must start taking some time to think about what you are doing with your money. And there is no one around here to think for you on that. You have to also think. I'm repeating many times. Maybe you may think, Bona na repeat. Because I know we never sit down to analyze about the options on how we are spending our money. We spend our money based on one, pressure ya society. I'm a doctor, PJ. Nikienda Christmas pale kwetu Gaitheri, people need to see I'm driving. By the way, do you know most of the decisions of money we make is based on how people see us? So you go to Gaitheri. Hata ukifanya hiyo hesabu vizuri PJ, even if you needed to really satisfy that, isn't it even cheaper to hire a car over Christmas and then wait for a little bit, other than buy a car for 4 million, including the one that you are not seeing, called interest rate? Can't you be a little patient? If you must go over Easter and Christmas driving a car, isn't it even cheaper to hire around that time? Think about it. The next thing we take a loan for. I want to put up my own practice. I am a dentist. I need a dental chair. I need to pay lease. So I take a loan. Mbona mnacheka kama nawaongelesha directly? So I am a medical doctor. I need my own practice somewhere. Set up a clinic. I need machines. I don't know how much it is. Take a loan. It is important we start also thinking that the only source of money to do business is not purely to take a loan. That's not the only way to raise money, to start a business up, especially in the kind of practice you are in. There are many things around it. There could be somebody with capital and you have the brain. Maybe that combination may end up making you better off without necessarily giving you a risk of a loan. There could be somebody, and I'm not saying there could be, there are many people with money who could do exactly what you want to do using their money. Maybe what they'll be asking you to give is only a stake in whatever you want to start. What I'm here to tell you is that most of the times, banks are good in giving us an umbrella when it is raining. Only when there is sun. They give you an umbrella, jua ikiwa juu. Ukianza kunyesha, wanakuitisha. So you always have to think about, before you go to fill up those loans and forms, is that the only source of capital you can get to open your practice? The other one, which is very justifiable, to buy an apartment, to buy a home. Mimi naenda kuchukua loan, nimepata job county. Unajua tuna justify aje? Hata ndio nione kitu kama bunge. And I'm talking about experience. In parliament people tell you, utaserve hapa miaka 5. Chukua mortgage ama hutakuwa na kitu ya kuonyeshana. Kuonyeshana meaning nimepata job county. Take some loan. Build in Roiro, build in Pale Kikuyu, build in Gong, build wherever. Why? Do you know the certification you are given? Utaonyeshana nini miaka 10 ya kufanya kazi? You are a teacher. Immediately unajaza form ya TSC, umepata kazi hivi. Banka kwa hapo. Chukua loan. Ya nini? Kununua ploti. Why? Usipochukua loan, utatumia hii pesa yote, you'll have nothing to show after some time. You have gone to school for 4 years like me. I have gone to school for 4 years in KU. Took 4 years to think about economy. Me, I don't have an economy, so I'm thinking about an economy for everyone else. Can't you take some time to also think about your own things? Because most of the loans we take, including the one you took ya kununua ploti, was not a very wise decision maybe. Na ni vizuri unachukua calculator, Before you part with the money, and parting with money meaning kujaza hizo loans, you're already parting with your future money for a very long time, my friends. Before you do that, what would it cost you to sit down on a Saturday afternoon with a piece of paper and a calculator to think logically, critically, deeply? Forget about what Peter told you, your friend, and Catherine. Forget even the fact that mlikuwa mumeenda kuona hiyo ploti. Sasa buka chini na kalamu na karatasi. Then start thinking. You don't need to be a CPA. You also don't need to be a BCom. Think just with the information available. I'm talking about loan ya nyumba. Because that is the most justified. Justification. Hey, me, I can't pay rent forever. No. I buy a plot. I start building. I must have my own home. I'm not even disregarding having your own home. You've just gotten a job, my friend. You just got a job. It's important you take time to think before you engage your money for the next 20 years today. So, let's talk about 10 million. You want to buy an apartment of 10 million or to buy a plot of whatever amount, but let's talk about a home of 10 million. Maybe you brought it, you're at 2.5, you're getting a 7.5. You're a new doctor. You deserve a home of your own. Anyway. So if you had 10 million here, given as a loan, and that is the money you are taking to the bank, you have taken from the bank, either to buy an apartment, to buy some kind of a house. What is the cost? But before you go to the cost, ask yourself, because tunaambiangwa, nunua haraka bei inabadilika. Either ya nyumba ama ya ploti. You need to do fast. You know, houses, land always appreciates. We all live in Nairobi. Most of us here. Tell me in the places you live, land has appreciated for how much for the last 5 years? Tell me whether you have not seen an apartment selling for 7.5 million for the last 7 years. The same apartment. The plot you're buying in Roiro today, 4 million shillings, was selling at 4 million shillings 5 years ago. I'm not here to talk against real estate. They also have a place to play because eventually we'll have homes. Me, I'm talking about loans, not real estate here. So, by what margin is this land, this home likely to change for the next? Let's deal with 10 million and let's deal with 10 years. That's our basis. So we establish how much is this likely to get. That we are not summarizing today. We are talking about that Saturday afternoon. We said you call for yourself a meeting before you part with your money for the next 20 years or 10. Then secondly, if that 10 million is here today, and you're talking about 10 years, we have already first established, is the land changing? Is the house changing in terms of the price? Then secondly, this money you are with here today, we never ask ourselves, kama niko nayo saa hii, si niko nayo hapa, the choice is between, I am a new person in the job market, is even alone. Between buying this home, what are the better uses I can put in this 10 million, and eventually I'll have a home, eventually later, but I'll not be burdened for so many years. But let's use simple arithmetic. If you had 10 million here today, and you do the laziest investment you can do, the laziest is buy a treasury board. The laziest. Ile, hutaki analysis, government never defaults, me I'm just buying a treasury bill or a board. Currently is the 13%. If you compound your 10 million at 13%, in only 5 years, that money will be 18 million. How much will the land, how much will the house you are buying have changed? Me, I don't have answers. I'm just saying we engage our might. Hebu chukua kama 10 million saa hii. Na tuongee na nyinyi sasa. 10 million Nairobi unaweza buy nyumba wapi ya 3 bedroom? 10 million. Kilimani utapata. Let's be factual. Na munisaidie hapa kama tunasaidiana. Nairobi nyumba ya 10 million ya 3 bedroom utabuy wapi? Wapi? Team is saying Kiosio Kimau, another place. Joska, another place. Nyumba imekamilika. Wewe usijali finishing mzuri sana. Wewe kwanza ati mimi niko na kwangu. Si unajua hiyo ka design? Mimi niko na kwangu. Where else? Yes? Kitengela, Utawala, ni nyinyi mnaniambia. Wapi? Kikuyu. Natumia tu zile mnasema. Okay, tuchukue Utawala. Hiyo nyumba ya 3 bedroom. Ukienda kukodisha saa hii utakodisha how much? To rent. Mmoja amesema 20, mwingine 25. Especially ile ya own compound. Unajua kwangu. Imejengwa una need, mimi naingianga kwangu. So ni how much? 40, 45. Itapita 45. Tuache, let's work with 50. Sawa sawa? Let's work with 50. And let's use the laziest. Nasema tutumie the laziest investment option there is. The laziest for me is treasury bonds. So 13% of 10 million is how much? Somebody anifanyie 13% of 10 million. 1.3 divided by 12. 109. 108. That's 110,000. I used just pause for 30 seconds and think about the point I am having. So tumesema rent ni how much? 50 max. First think about it. Rent ni how much? Haya. Na hii hesabu umedivide imekuja? 108. Kuna mtu amepata kitu hapo? Has anyone gotten what I'm trying to say? Have you gotten? What? Have you gotten? The point you have gotten, that on this side, you are 10 million on present value now. Bila kuulizana na mtu. Inakupea 110,000 a month. 100 and? Na sio compounding. Tunaongea ile inatoka ikitoka. Not even compounded. Imetoka leo. So 110,000. The highest rent you can pay on that 10 million house mumesema ni ngapi? Ni nyinyi mumesema 50. Have you ever thought of such? But you know, the ego of saying niko na kwangu, ni kwangu, title imeandikwa mimi. Na sio kesho, today. Then, you make a suboptimal decision. Because per year, the rent is 50 times 12 is 600,000. Na kwanza, unauliza landlord, mimi nataka nikulipe by annually. Anakuangalia hivi atashindwa, mtu ni pirate ama ni nini? Unaambia landlord, mimi nitakuwa nakulipa after 6 months. Please give me your account. Why? Ile pesa iko pale. I'm not talking about compounded. Compounded now is later. Already imekupea 110. Na kwanza hiyo ni kama rent unalipa after 6 months. Inalipangwa kwa bank account yako after 6 months. So ile ya 6 months unachukua unalipa rent ya whole year. Ile ingine ya 6 months ni pesa yako free. Unairudisha kule inaanza kucompound. I'm not saying you'll not end up having a home. If you do that for 5 years, how much will you have saved? And will you be closer to getting a home with a smaller loan, or will you be further? That's some of the decisions you need to make. And I've used the laziest. If I give you the options of investment which are much better, then it becomes much, much more scalable.